Hey everyone, Coasters and Places here, coming at you with a brand new video, and this video is going to be the top 20 coasters at Magic Mountain in order from number 20 to number 1, with 1 being the best that Magic Mountain has to offer. Now they only have 20 coasters, which is the record of the most in any theme park. So therefore, basically it's going to be all of their coasters ranked from, again, worst to best. This is absolutely a fantastic park, definitely my favorite Six Flags park, and I'm super excited to be doing this video, ranking them. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, definitely go ahead and take a moment to do so. Go ahead and like this video too. Helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps me to continue making videos like these and producing more higher quality videos, and just gets the word out and just supports me, and that is honestly priceless for me, just to get some support on this channel. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started with this video, and we'll start it off with our number 20 coaster. My number 20 pick is Canyon Blaster, and this is just an E&S Miler coaster built in 1999. It's just a junior roller coaster themed to Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Just a very simple layout, great for a kid's first coaster or to ride with your kid, but it's just definitely not super thrilling. I prefer a more thrilling ride. Number 19 in the park I put as Magic Flyer, which is just another small kids coaster, great first coaster starting out. I did put this one above Canyon Blaster, even though they're both short, not very tall kids coasters, because this one was opened in 1971 when the park opened, so some history there, and I like the train car for the front car, so that's a little different. So maybe a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, but it's, again, just not a thrilling ride. 18, this is called Speedy Gonzales Hot Rod Racers, and this is one of the Zamperla family gravity coasters, race car themed coaster here. Again, it's just a kids coaster. It's not super thrilling or anything, but it still makes her a good ride for kids, and maybe one that adults would ride with their children. It gets a little taller than the other two before, and it seems to go a little faster as well, but again, it's just not that thrilling. At the lovely number 17 spot, I've put the Roadrunner Express. This is definitely a step up when it comes to the kiddie coasters at Magic Mountain. And fun fact, this coaster used to operate at Six Flags New Orleans, but then they were able to relocate this one. It definitely gets higher off the ground than the other 3 kiddie coasters before. Would borderline say it's more like a family coaster, and it's a pretty good, decent, solid ride for a family coaster. My number 15 pick here is definitely, I have a feeling, going to be controversial. But hear me out. Remember, everybody has an opinion, and an opinion is not a fact, so it cannot be right or wrong. But I want to know what your thoughts are about this placement in the comments below. What would you put this coaster? Where would you put it? What kind of ranking? The 15 is Riddler's Revenge. Okay, so, I know, interesting choice. And this is some personal bias. I do not like stand-up coasters. I've never liked stand-up coasters. Like the new Intamin Surf coaster in Orlando. Not Intamin, I am sorry. The B&M one in Orlando. Makes me wonder why we're bringing back the stand-up coaster. Maybe some people, though, I know they like it. Me, I find the restraints awful. And it just ruins my enjoyment of the ride so much. With that being said, I do believe there are better stand-ups out there than this. I think this one's a jerky in certain spots, which also keeps it at 15. I don't think it's unbearably rough, but again, my comfort affects my enjoyment of this ride. The layout's decent, though, I will give it that. But where would you put Riddler's Revenge? Would you actually rank it low? I'm just definitely curious to know. Number 14, I picked Viper at Magic Mountain. So, Viper is an aerodynamics coaster, and yes, this may be a controversial pick simply because Viper is known for being more of a rough coaster, being an old aero looper. However, I think Viper personally has a really great layout, and it does pull some strong forces, and I do tend to like old aero coasters, especially old loopers. And I don't hate the restraints as much as I hate the Riddler's Revenge restraints. So that also gives it an edge over Riddler's Revenge. With that being said, it's definitely not a modern coaster, and it's definitely not the smoothest coaster in the world. So I can't really put it any higher than number 14. Number 13, this is Viper. Viper is unique in that it has two different lift hills, and Viper is also tied as the fastest aerodynamic suspended coaster in the Americas, with Vortex at Canada's Wonderland, reaching 55 miles per hour. So at a park such as Magic Mountain with a lot of good coasters, I have to pick this one as number 13. Not because Ninja's bad, but to me it's just a good family coaster, and it's just simply not very long to me. I don't think it pulls a lot of forces, but it's still a good ride. My favorite suspended coaster has always been the Bat at Kings Island. And I think like the layout, for example, of the Bat or Vortex is better than Ninja. But it's still a great ride, and I still do enjoy it though. Number 12, this is the New Revolution, and this is from 1976. This is an old coaster manufactured by Schwarzkopf, and this coaster is still, for its age, incredibly smooth. It's either just shows the incredible engineering, or shows that Magic Mountain just really takes good care of this ride and is dedicated to keeping it around. The historical value, of course, of this ride, but it's the first coaster to feature a 360-degree loop modern coaster when it debuted, and it's unique in that the loop is not like at the beginning of the ride after the first drop. And again, it's a great coaster for kids to experience their first inversion, and that loop is actually pulls some great G's, and it's actually pretty intense, and the smoothness and the intenseness of that loop is why I have to put it at number 12. Number 11, this is Apocalypse, the GCI wooden roller coaster here at Magic Mountain. So this is at the bottom half still of the roller coasters at Magic Mountain. Still a good ride, but it's definitely more of a bottom tier GCI in my opinion. GCI has so many wonderful coasters, and this one is not one of their best creations. I just feel like it doesn't pull a lot of good forces. It's really smooth though, and it's always been a smooth, enjoyable ride, but it just doesn't have a lot of the good airtime and forces, say as Mystic Timbers or Gold Striker do, which are my two favorite GCIs. So I still do thoroughly enjoy this ride though. It's still a good ride, it's just lacking some of the forces. But that's why I have to put it at number 11. The effects, like with the fog and whatnot, are still very good, entertaining, and the fire. So I do like that. It definitely adds some appeal to the ride though. But I just can't really put it above 11 though. Number 10 is Scream, which is a mirror image of Medusa at Six Flags Great Adventure. But Medusa is so much better than Scream. And I'm still trying to figure out to this day what exactly makes that the case. I'd like to say a lot of it could be because the setting, because Scream is literally a parking lot coaster. The setting leaves a lot to be desired. Some people will say that Scream has a rattle. I don't really think Scream has a rattle, but I can get where people are coming from with saying that. Medusa, I think, is smoother than Scream, but I wouldn't say Scream is rough by any means. But that setting on Scream really knocks it down for me. That's what I would say about Scream, personally, and that's honestly why I put it at 10, and I just think 9 coasters in the park are better than Scream. Number 9, Superman Escape from Krypton. This is a super smooth ride, very intense, very enjoyable, but it's a very short ride. But in that short ride duration, it packs such a punch, like just going up that large hill there, and as fast as you are going up that hill, it's definitely exhilarating, adrenaline rush there. But it's only number 9 because it's really not a very long ride at all. And there's other coasters here at Magic Mountain that are more of a complete ride that I just think are better than Superman Escape from Krypton. Number 8 is Goliath, and this is a hypercoaster. And for a hypercoaster at number 8, in any other park this would be ranked way higher, but this is not an ordinary hypercoaster. It's packed full of basically no airtime and just helixes and just gracefulness, which it's very smooth, but it really isn't an airtime machine. Doesn't really pack a lot of G's that we're so used to from our B&M hypers or Intamins. Really, it's just not that great of a hyper. Again, at least it's a smooth ride, and it's a long ride though, so it's not an awful ride. It's still an enjoyable ride, but I just would expect so much more out of it being a hyper coaster. But it is Giovanola. There's a reason they're bankrupt, I guess. But can't really put it in any higher than number 8, but I do appreciate its smooth ride and the view that you do get from the lift hill. Really getting into some good coasters now. Number 7, Full Throttle, with 3 LSM launches, all very strong. A huge vertical loop, actually towering at 160 feet tall. You have a dive loop, which is the second inversion, which is one of my favorite elements of the whole ride besides the vertical loop. You have a tunnel that was actually, fun fact, formerly used for the park's monorail system. And then the train will come to a halt, and then it'll launch backwards, and then it'll launch forward back into the tunnel. And it's just got some great positive G's going on here with this ride. The only thing is it's a little short because it's got the crazy launches and the length isn't that great. But it's very smooth, very intense. Really like Full Throttle. Number 6 is Batman the Ride. This is a cloned coaster, and these clones are everywhere at Six Flags parks. There's even one at a non-Six Flags park, but they are very common clones. With that being said, they're good clones, so it's not a bad clone coaster, but they are a little on the short side, but they are very good. They have some great inversions, being an inverts here, and very snappy. They enter those transitions well, and it's a smooth ride for sure. Pulls lots of strong G's, and just a great overall all-around ride. All of the clones are for the Batman the Rides. I don't really have anything negative to say about Batman the Ride, and it's a must ride at Magic Mountain. Number 5, West Coast Racers. West Coast Racers is a partnership between West Coast Customs and Premier Rides. It is a good coaster, good solid coaster. It's actually really good at actually racing, apart from maybe another ride that may be on this list later on. You know what I'm talking about. It does reach a speed of 55 miles per hour, does have 4 inversions, a lot of interaction with each other with the racing element, and I really think it's a lot of fun. Not only is it pretty intense and snappy, it's just a lot of fun, and I think that's definitely what adds to the appeal here with West Coast Racers. And the car designed trains are really cool as well. Just an overall really fun, really great ride at Magic Mountain. Number 4, Magic Mountain's newest coaster, Wonder Woman Flight of Courage. This is an RMC Raptor coaster, and this coaster is just lots of fun, and it has some great airtime. It's got a custom layout, has an 87-degree first drop, and it's not got a super tall first drop, but that single rail coaster and just how fast this coaster goes, the airtime, the whippy inversions, just make this for a very intense ride. You won't be disappointed when you ride this ride. We'll have a lot of fun on Wonder Woman here. It's a great ride, but there are 3 rides, the Magic Mountain coasters, that I think are better. Number 3 is Tatsu. This is by far my favorite flying coaster that I've been able to ride. Actually, the only flying coaster I think could possibly beat this would be the Flying Dinosaur at Universal Studios Japan. This has some crazy intense elements on it. It's the tallest flying coaster in the world. It has the tallest pretzel loop in the world. That pretzel loop has some of the most intensity of any inversion, of honestly, of almost any coaster element that I've ever experienced. I know B&M maybe isn't always known for its intensity, but Tatsu really is intense. The flying aspect I love. It's just, Tatsu is just a great ride. How it uses the terrain to its advantage too. You really feel really high up in the air. Love it, but there are 2 coasters that I just think do beat Tatsu though. Number 2, this is Twisted Colossus. This may be controversial to put this at number 2, but I'll definitely explain why I put this at number 2. So, this is one of my favorite RMC coasters out there. It does have a Mobius loop design, which enables it to race. It has some of the craziest airtime, especially at the start before you even make it to the lift hill. That's just some crazy airtime, just those little bitty bunny hills. Now, the problem with this is dispatches here suck and you can never race, which I feel like takes away from some of the fun. I've never actually got a ride on this where I've actually raced, and that to me is pretty disappointing. I want to be able to race on this. But with that being said, it's super long. You get to go through both sides. As I said, the airtime on this thing, it's insane and it's wonderful. It's hard to really beat airtime like this. And that's definitely, I mean, that's why it has to be at number 2. If it wasn't for the number 1 being in this park, it would be a number 1. And this is still a very elite, top tier coaster. And it's smooth as can be. And if you haven't guessed already, my number 1 pick is X2. Built by Arrow, which this is the coaster that caused them to unfortunately go bankrupt, else I would have loved to see what else they could have came up with. This coaster is insane. It's crazy intense. That first drop is just wow. It's a 4th dimension coaster, and the first drop is 215 feet, 88.5 degree slope, reaches 76 miles per hour, which is crazy. And as I said, that is such an intense moment right there. I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. And some people will say X2 is rough. I don't really find it rough. The intensity may be too much for some people to handle, but to me, it just adds to the ride experience. And they're in a controlled spin. I think that's what makes it different than like a 4D free spin coaster, because it's a controlled spin. So you're getting that intense, crazy, great ride experience every time. And that's what makes X2 so great. But what is your number 1 favorite coaster at Magic Mountain? Is it X2? Is it Twisted Colossus? Is it perhaps something else entirely? Let me know in the comments down below. Remember, guys, everybody has their own opinion, and that does not make it right or wrong, because an opinion is not based in fact. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.